All right, another Premier Pro Wrestling teaser. And go ahead, what is the date today? The 7th of May, 2022. June 2022. I got the day right, not the month. There's just a bunch of stuff I want to talk about in the podcast. And the podcast is, again, available on Patreon. That's where you can support us. It's very reasonable, especially compared to what is out there wrestling-wise on Patreon. You get a hell of a lot more content from guys that have actually been somewhere and done something, and we don't sit up here on our high horse pretending to be something that we aren't or weigh in on stuff that we don't fucking know about. But the two things in particular I want to talk about. Do you know who Angelina? Who's that girl? Who's the girl of Ian that there used to be a TNA that was dating Bubba? The last name's Love. Is it Angelina Love? Huh? For fuck's sake. Anyway, for Christ's sake. Nothing like being fucking prepared. I think it's Angelina Love. I don't know. It is? How do you know?
I mean, I know of her. She worked at TNA, right?
She's a blonde. She's a pretty blonde.
Yeah.
Velvet Sky and Angelina Love.
Yeah.
Okay. So, this is the truth. Dutch Mantel and yours truly, and it was Dutch's idea, I helped bring it to fruition, was revamping ladies wrestling. We incepted the Knockouts. Angelina Love and Velvet Sky were two of the first ones we brought in for tryouts to consider for what our plan was. What our plan was beautiful women that were athletes that could wrestle. And they could. And Angelina went out this week somewhere in some podcast, Inside the Ropes or something like that, where she blamed the TNA losing the Spike deal and then inevitable closing of the company on Dixie Carter because her thing was just because she was too dumb. I was there that night. I knew who was coming in for the 2 or 4 matches that we had, and here's Dixie Carter's mental state at the time. Angelina Love was a beautiful girl that could actually wrestle. She was humble, and she had an angel food cake butt. It's a beautiful butt. And I'm not trying to be like a Me Too fucking guy. The bottom line was, that's what we incepted. A beautiful girl with a beautiful butt. She did not dress like a whore, but she accentuated her gifts. So that's the thing, is get him to go, wow, look at that hot girl. Holy shit, she can wrestle. Dixie's thing was like a high school girl, like a mean girl, like a cheer mom, a dance mom. It's like, oh, look at her ass. Oh. And I was like, right there, sitting with her, I said, Dixie, that's what we're trying to achieve. Watch, give her a chance. I hear this girl can work. Well, they impressed the shit out of everybody. But Dixie never got over that. And yes, Angelina Love is 100% right. That's why they lost the Spike deal, which was the final nail in the coffin for TNA Wrestling, because it's the only revenue source they had. Number 2, MJF we're going to talk about. And this fucking guy, the only one that supports him are these smart marks, and I think that today's smart mark internet fan is predominantly these indie tards. He tried to emanate Punk's pipe bomb. You can tell this guy grew up a huge CM Punk mark at a fucking pay-per-view. And I don't pay much attention to it because it's doomed for failure. Everybody's turning on Tony Khan, even the ones that he was gay for. The only ones on his side still are the Bucks, and they're not that fucking young anymore. Let's face that. But there was fucking people in attendance, and you can fucking see 6 months ago, I talked about it here with you, Casey, you can verify it, that this MJF and this bitches and this blood is going to get to the fucking TV company. It's going to get to, and sure as shit, he went out there and did his pipe bomb and with fucking this and fucking that and all the other bullshit, and now they're starting to dissociate themselves.
Oh, the TV companies.
Huh? Yeah. So they're already, right away, they unfollowed MJF on Twitter and all that other shit.
Oh, really? Wow.
So if anybody in their right mind actually thinks Vince wants a problem child like this while he's letting go of Braun Strowman, you're fucking nuts, CM Punk, for example, means nothing anymore. They killed him off. They don't know what to do with him. Bryan Danielson means even less. And then also what we're going to talk about on the podcast when you subscribe and support us on Patreon is Bruno fucking Sammartino, because again, we're gonna be the motherfuckers that hit him where they ain't. And if there was ever an inspirational story for an American and an American immigrant, it's Bruno Sammartino.
Yeah,
You know,
absolutely.
today's fan does not know how over Bruno Sammartino was. If we had the internet, if he could sell merchandise like the things that The Rock had and Hogan had and Austin had, I would say he was probably over if you took as much as if you took all three of those guys and smushed them together and add John Cena in there as well. That's how over Bruno Sammartino was, you know. So do me a favor, like, subscribe, support us on Patreon, Premier Pro Wrestling on Patreon, also Pro Wrestling Tees. We've been taking that relationship for granted for too long because, Smithers, it's a sale, but you have to buy 7 shirts, Smithers. If there's a sale, you share it. Everybody loves Pro Wrestling Tees. Other than the television that Khan has, which I don't think is turning into a revenue stream because it was compulsive, flipped out, stupid spending, Tees would have been a nice revenue stream for him. You know what I mean? All right, that's all I got for now. Just the rest of it's going to be in the podcast. That's what we're talking about this week.